So we're doing a deep dive today into something really personal, but also kind of universal, I think.
Yeah, it's about a recurring childhood nightmare.
But not just any nightmare. The source material we're looking at suggests it was less a bad dream and more like, well, an involuntary philosophical lesson.
Exactly. That's the idea in this personal account, The Embered Dawn, My Apocalyptic Childhood Nightmare.
Yeah.
The narrator starts having this vision at just 4 years old.
4. Wow.
Yeah, a repeating scene of just, total chaos.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to really get into the specifics and terrifying details of this vision.
And then maybe unpack how that kind of early, intense exposure to, well, powerlessness and destruction might actually shape someone's whole identity, their outlook on life.
Right, it goes way beyond just being scared of a monster.
It really does. I mean, the account stresses how sudden it was. Like, one moment, maybe drifting off to sleep the next, boom, instantly there.
Not dreaming about their bedroom or anything familiar.
No, just dropped into this alien, desolate place. And it's always twilight, like a permanent, sinister dusk.
No slow fade in, just an immediate displacement into this doomscape.
And the first things that really hit you, according to the account, are the sensory details, the atmosphere itself.
The sky, for instance.
Yeah.
It wasn't just dark. It's described as this huge, bruised, angry, purple-gray canvas.
Choked, right, with these massive clouds stretching everywhere, ash and smoke.
Yeah, horizon to horizon. It's
Yeah.
not weather, it's like the visual signature of the end times.
The thing that really jumped out at me, though, maybe because it's so specific for a memory from age 4, is the smell. It talks about this pervasive, suffocating smell of acrid smoke.
Right, not like a cozy campfire.
No, like industrial chemical, almost overwhelming. The narrator actually says that breathing in the dream felt like inhaling crushed glass.
Wow.
And it left this taste of bitter despair. That's the phrase used.
That's incredibly intense. When you see sensory stuff like smell and taste described so vividly from early trauma, it often means it's locked in deep, primal parts of the brain.
So that acrid smoke, the taste, it's about suffocation, being totally overwhelmed by the environment itself.
Exactly. It's like a physical memory of despair, even in a dream. It takes it beyond just being scared of the dark into this fundamental fear of, well, the world itself collapsing.
It makes you wonder why the subconscious latched onto that specific sensation. The visual is terrifying, sure, but the smell feels so violating.
Well, maybe because the visual, even if horrific, can feel a bit distant sometimes. But smell, taste,
Yeah,
that gets inside you, it crosses the boundary.
right. It's an assault, even if it's a dream assault.
Yeah. And beneath that choked sky, the ground wasn't any better. Cracked, dry earth, huge fissures opening up.
And glowing, right, with this unsettling orange light from deep down.
And the air itself wasn't quiet, it was heavy, thick, and vibrating.
Oh yeah, the rumble, this low, continuous rumble.
Not just a sound you heard, but something felt, like deep in your chest, a constant vibration.
The baseline sound of everything falling apart.
And that rumble, that's the clue to the engine driving this whole apocalypse. It wasn't just one event.
No, it was volcanoes, lots of them.
A multitude of volcanoes scattered all across the horizon, and each one letting out this rhythmic, like, guttural roar.
The scale of it is just staggering. It tells you right away this isn't something small or containable. It's planet-wide.
Yeah, it sets up this feeling of being completely overwhelmed by external forces. You can't negotiate with a dozen volcanoes.
Definitely not. And the most obvious sign of that inevitable destruction was the lava.
Oh, absolutely. These molten rivers of fire, described as crawling like huge, glowing snakes across the land.
And the key thing was the pace, wasn't it? It was slow.
Slow but unstoppable. Inexorable.
Just
consuming everything in its path.
It gives the whole nightmare this dreadful certainty. Like, the disaster isn't random or chaotic. It's like a law of physics being carried out, slowly but surely.
Yeah, there's no escape velocity. And besides the huge volcanoes and the lava rivers, there were fires everywhere else too.
Right, secondary fires, forests just going up like torches, any buildings just crumbling into fiery ruin, showers of sparks.
Everything was just fuel. Combustible. Ephemeral.
And there was this sense of heat, too, an oppressive warmth, a kind of dry burn on the skin.
Even though the narrator wasn't actually in the fire, right? They were sort of suspended, watching, untouchable.
Which is a whole other layer we need to get into.
Definitely. That feeling of heat, the burn, it reinforces that paradox of being the observer. You feel the trauma even when you're weirdly safe from it.
So the natural disaster part sets the huge, terrifying stage.
Right, it establishes the scope. But the real, psychological gut punch comes when you add the people.
Yeah. That's where it shifts, doesn't it? From natural disaster to just profound human tragedy.
Because the world wasn't empty. There were people, but they were reduced to just primal panic.
Not an orderly evacuation.
No, not at all. Just this scrambling, stumbling surge. Everyone trying desperately to get away from something you just can't get away from.
The source calls it chaotic flight, which feels right. Orderly flight implies some hope, maybe a destination, leadership.
Exactly. This was the opposite. Total breakdown of society, of logic, people apparently tripping over each other, just pure instinctual panic.
And the descriptions of their faces, just awful. Masks of sheer terror.
Bloodshot eyes, reflecting that orange glow from the fissures. Staring, but vacant. Utter dread.
Some screaming with no sound, others locked in this silent, rictus of despair. It's like a catalog of human terror.
And this huge, terrifying picture gets focused down into these really specific, heartbreaking moments.
Like watching kids clinging to their parents, families trying to stick together but getting separated in the chaos.
Yeah, and the source mentions the cry of a child reaching for a parent who gets swallowed by the smoke or lost in the crowd.
For a 4-year-old to process that, it's not just scary visuals, it's a lesson in how fragile connection is, how fragile life is.
Brutally learned.
Yeah.
And their escape attempts were always useless.
Right. Completely futile. They'd run, but the smoke, the fire, the lava, it was always faster, always catching up.
People would just stumble, fall, and then just lie there, too exhausted or broken to even try anymore.
The end was understood. Total annihilation. Being erased.
Which brings us to maybe the most disturbing part, the real philosophical core of this thing. The narrator's own role in it all.
Right. The horror is the catastrophe, but the unique torture seems to be the narrator's position. Fixed. Suspended.
Untouchable by the fire or the smoke, but forced to see everything, like an ethereal, unmoving camera just recording all the suffering.
Yeah, this is where it stops being just a scary dream and feels like psychological conditioning.
Because they felt this intense connection, this empathy for the victims, but were completely powerless.
Couldn't help, couldn't warn anyone, couldn't divert the lava, just forced observation of collective death.
It's a really specific, bizarre mechanism, isn't it? This forced watching, combined with overwhelming empathy but zero agency.
What does that do to a developing mind psychologically?
Well, it's a massive early lesson in a couple of things. One, the absolute limit of your own control. The world is run by forces way bigger than you. An external locus of control is hammered home.
Okay.
And two, it might be a form of trauma-induced dissociation. Like, the horror is so intense, the mind creates this safe observer position. You see the trauma, you feel the emotional weight, but you're not physically in it. Still, it gets internalized deeply.
But don't all vivid nightmares leave a mark on a kid? What makes this one feel so foundational? Especially since it's about the end of the world, not like a monster chasing them.
I think it's the combination of the scope, the repetition, and that specific powerlessness. Most childhood fears are personal, right? I'm scared of the dark. I'm scared of that dog.
Sure.
This dream taught the narrator something different. That the system itself is fragile. The whole world can become hostile. And that human bonds are ultimately futile against that kind of cosmic chaos.
So it's existential dread, not just personal fear.
Exactly. It's about universal vulnerability, not just their own weakness. A much bigger, scarier lesson.
And this went on, this recurring vision, for about a year or two, the source estimates. It stopped around the time they started school.
But the feeling, that core sensation, the shadow of that acrid twilight, apparently never really went away.
And their coping mechanisms as a little kid kind of reflected that specific fear, didn't they?
Yeah, it wasn't just wanting a nightlight because the dark is spooky. It was wanting a nightlight as a specific beacon against the shadows. Like one tiny point of light against the encroaching ash and smoke.
And checking under the bed.
Not for monsters, but for smoke. Checking for the physical signs of the nightmare bleeding into reality. And developing this quiet anxiety around fire, the smell of wood smoke.
Wow, checking for smoke. That tells you how real it felt.
Absolutely, and this whole internal framework just sat there, kind of dormant, until adolescence.
Yeah.
Then learning about things like volcanoes, climate change, war, refugees.
It suddenly clicked.
Provided context. News reports showing fleeing crowds or cities on fire or environmental disasters.
Yeah.
It wasn't just abstract news to them, it felt chillingly familiar.
Like echoes of those images burned into their memory from age 4.
Exactly. Those archetypes of destruction and vulnerability were already there.
So this pattern, this way of seeing large-scale suffering through a really personal, painful filter, it was set incredibly early. How did that play out in their adult personality, according to the account?
It seems to have instilled this profound, almost immediate sensitivity to suffering in others. The idea that existence is fragile wasn't just a philosophical concept. It was a lived reality from infancy, basically.
Which led to what the source calls melancholic realism.
Yeah. And that's not just being pessimistic, is it?
No, I think it's more nuanced. Pessimism is maybe just expecting the worst. This sounds more like being able to see the beauty or peace in a moment, but always being aware simultaneously of how incredibly fragile it all is.
Right. An empathetic fatalism, maybe.
Yeah.
Because they saw the end so vividly. They had this fierce appreciation for the quiet moments, the times when things aren't collapsing.
An appreciation born from terror.
Pretty much. And that observer role, that psychological distancing we talked about, that lingered too.
How so?
Apparently, they tend to process intense emotional situations, especially seeing other people's pain or drama from a slight distance.
Still the observer.
Still the observer, present, empathetic, absorbing it, but always slightly separate. Like that fixed, unmoving perspective from the dream. It lets them analyze things without getting immediately swamped, maybe, but also creates this feeling of always being a bit peripheral.
Yeah.
Watching life, maybe waiting for the inevitable fire.
Like certain things can just bring it all rushing back, right? The triggers.
Oh, yeah. Those sensory inputs are still potent. Certain industrial smells that mimic that acrid smoke.
Instant recall.
Yeah. Or deep rumbling sound. Even just a distant train can echo that vibration felt in the chest. And visually, a really dramatic sunset. All deep reds and bruised purples.
Can look just like the sky in the nightmare.
Exactly. The ember dawn.
So, pulling this all together, we've picked apart this vision, the mechanics, the impact. What's the big takeaway here about how these intense early experiences function?
Well, I think what this account powerfully suggests is that our subconscious doesn't wait until we're older to start teaching us fundamental truths. These incredibly vivid early dreams, especially recurring ones, they can be like involuntary philosophical lessons.
An initiation.
Yeah, an initiation into our deepest, maybe collective fears about chaos, destruction, powerlessness. This terrifying vision didn't just frighten the child, it fundamentally installed empathy and a profound value for peace and stability simply by showing the alternative in such horrific detail.
Their whole way of seeing the world was forged in those ashes.
Undeniably. Forged in ash.
And the source leaves us with this really striking thought, born from that agony of being the witness. That even when we feel safest, most secure, the stability we rely on, our connections, the very ground under our feet, it's all potentially just a heartbeat away from being consumed.
Which really makes you pause, doesn't it? It leads you, the listener, to maybe ask yourself, when you look back at your own earliest, most vivid memories, good or bad, how much of that experience was actually a foundational lesson? A subconscious imprint that shaped your understanding of the world, its dangers, and maybe its beauty too.